The following show is a group of fishing folks sharing their personal opinions about all things angling. It's meant to be fun and entertaining. The opinions expressed on this show are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs of their peers, their bosses, or Bassmaster. Now, hopefully, we can all kick back, relax, and enjoy this show without the threat of legal action. The show really only has one rule. Say what you want. Nothing can be held against you because here, everything is officially unofficial. Oh yeah, we need a host. You ready, Dave?
Psst, I got a secret for you. Don't tell anyone, but this week on Official Unofficial, we're going to talk about secrets. Secrets, really, when it comes to fishing, it's not just pro fishing, any type of fishing, whether it's your first time fishing, your 50th time fishing, you learn early on. Secrets are a good thing to keep, whether it's a secret bait, a secret spot, a secret little trick of something you do to your lure. People keep secrets. And for 10 years, most of those secrets have been exposed on Bass Live. But now, we have a situation where we have pros going to greater lengths to hide their baits than we've ever seen before. We've literally had some pros hold their hands in front of the bait when they're showing off how they caught them. We've had pros a lot of backs, so you can't see anything going on. We've had pros even show a blank jig head or a blank hook as a way to show how they're catching them without actually showing how they're catching them. Is this a necessary evil in today's pro fishing world with as much media that's out there? Or is this a bad trend? Well, we all have different opinions on that, and I'd love to hear yours. But first, I'm going to dig deep in my bulbous Rolodex of Elite Series pros. And this week, we're going to be joined by Brandon Palaniuk, Gerald Swindle, Kyle, Patrick, and Dakota Ebare with a special guest named Brooks. You do not want to miss that. But there will be no secrets held here. We will find out what these pros think of the recent trend of keeping your baits secret. Shh. Don't tell anyone. Brandon Palaniuk, welcome to Officially Unofficial. A big trend lately is people keeping their baits secret. Pros not talking about what they're fishing with. Where do you stand on that recent trend?
I mean, you can say it's a trend, but that's been a trend since, I guess, professional bass fishing was a thing. I mean, back in the early days, it's always been a thing, you know, and it's been exposed over time. And I think keeping a secret bait or thing gave you a competitive advantage a long time ago, and it was much easier to hide it. You know, when there was only a photographer here or there, you went to weigh in, there was no live weigh in, there was no live cameras, there weren't 10 photographers on the water and all the fans and everything, and you could keep a double Colorado spinnerbait secret, and or you could throw a competitive product that you were sponsored by, and no one knew. But as Bassmaster Live came about, everything was exposed. There was nothing to hide. And then you kind of saw this trend where it went the opposite, where everyone's like, okay, like we can't hide anything. You know, companies started making more products to compete in those categories. And you kind of saw this revolution of guys just, hey, this is what I'm throwing. Maybe sponsored by it, may not be. And each guy is individually different in that segment. And there's a lot of parts to that, right? It's not always just the angler saying, hey, I'm going to keep this bait secret because I don't want anyone else to know about it. That does happen from time to time. But generally that's not as exposed, right? As like a guy like hiding a bait or putting a different bait on for a photo gallery. A lot of that type of stuff comes from sponsor influence or company influence, whether it's direct or indirect, right? A guy may never have actually heard that come out of a company's mouth, but they may just feel that pressure of like, I need to show my sponsor's bait so that I can keep this sponsor. And it doesn't mean that they don't believe in those sponsors' products. It just may mean that for this one situation this week where they caught them well, maybe that sponsor didn't have a bait to fill that need, or the guy tried it, the fish, maybe caught a few on it, but not as many. And so that's a really tricky thing. I think the reason it looks like a trend now is that you have a lot of younger anglers that haven't been in those situations or had those conversations to know how to navigate that.
When you first started, did you feel that same situation you think that they're feeling now?
100%. Yeah, there were several times that I would have these internal battles of like, maybe I wasn't catching them on this specific bait. Like, I'll give an example. I don't feel bad about this. It's already been out there. Years ago at Table Rock, I made a top 10, and I was catching them on Vision 110, and I covered up the head of the bait. Very similar to what some of the young guys did at Lake Fork and stuff, right? I covered up the head of the bait. You could see the back half of it. People still knew about it. I think Zona even said on live what it was, even though I never mentioned what it was. And I had conversations after that, that was like, hey, there's probably better ways to go about that. We're paying you, blah, blah, blah. Right. So, then I had that battle of like, okay, I want to be honest with what I'm throwing. I also want to do right by my sponsors and the people that believe in me, but there's a gap in the product. And so that's where it comes into a lot of the companies, and you put it back on them. And I feel like a lot of the companies now are coming around to the concept of, okay, if we have a gap in our lineup, what is it? And how do we fix that gap? Yeah, all the companies are coming around, or, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of the companies are looking at it and saying, okay, let's use our anglers. If we have a gap in our lineup, is there a way that we can take a product that they're using that we don't already make, and can we make it better? Are there improvements? Some companies will make improvements, some don't. Those are all individual conversations, and each situation is going to be different. I've had this conversation with Megabass in the last few years of, hey, if you're throwing a competitive product and we don't have something that fits your needs in the hard bait side, be honest about what you're throwing. Don't over publicize it, but be honest about it. And then tell us why our current product lineup wouldn't work. What was different about it? Was it a color? Was it an action, a size, whatever it may be? And be able to put that into writing and words. And if we can improve on it, great. If not, we're going to leave it alone. And that's kind of been their whole philosophy, and something that I was, attracted to. I'm like, hey, that fits the way that I want to promote products, because the long-term side of that is if you're honest, right? You have one shot at your integrity and your honesty, and people will catch on to that if they see it over and over again, right? Where you're like, well, that's not what he was throwing, but this is what he said. Well, the problem with that long-term is that when you do actually catch them on a sponsor product, because that's going to happen, people aren't going to know whether or not they can believe you. Yeah. I have this conversation with my 3-year-old on a daily basis right now about like, hey, if you say you need to get out of bed and you need to go potty, then you need to actually go potty. Because if you don't, then I'm not going to be able to trust you when you actually have to go to the bathroom. Very similar situation, even though it's a conversation with my 3-year-old about getting out of bed at night. There will come a time where you are being truthful, but if you have, hidden baits or not, been truthful about it in the past, it's much harder to get people, there might be some people that are hesitant, like, did he actually use that or not? And, live is obviously going to help or hurt that situation one way or the other. I think being open and honest about it is just the best thing to do right now, because it is so much harder to hide it than it is to just be open about it and deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you make the example of a lot of the younger guys too, I think that's also when it's easiest, or when you're feeling, I don't want to say pushed, but you feel the most pressure to deliver for sponsors, because it's early in your deals, because you may not be with all of the companies that you're going to end up with. It's early in your career. I mean, just like when you start any business, the start is when you're most volatile. So that's probably when you're most volatile to make kind of those mistakes, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're in the proving grounds. Right. And to the fans watching, I would say also give guys some grace on that, right? Like, just because a guy does that once doesn't mean he's going to do it forever. So it's kind of a two-sided thing. It's like, okay, a guy can learn from that. Maybe he did feel the pressure early on. He was in a situation. Maybe he learns from that, right? And he's like, I didn't like that. It didn't feel right. I'm not going to do that again. And, so it's like, you have to collect those data points over time and see if a guy continues to be dishonest or hiding baits or something. Then you can be like, yeah, he's probably not telling the truth. But if a guy does it once and then, the next time he's good, just think about that. Right. And that's a conversation that each guy has to individually have with his sponsors as well. Right. Is to step them and say, hey, what do you want me to do in this situation? And then you have to be willing to accept or deny what they tell you.
Yeah.
Right. We all have the choice to sign the dotted line on a contract, but have that conversation and know what the expectations are on both ends, right? On your end and on the sponsor's end. And once you communicate that and that's open and out there, then it becomes a lot easier. And I think that's like early on, I didn't know how to navigate that, but the best thing to do is just to communicate that, get it out there in the open of like, how do I deal with this situation? And they're going to tell you what their preference is on that. Then it's on the angler or whoever to decide, like, is this the route I want to go?
Yeah. And it's not all sponsors. Sometimes it's people want to keep things to themselves, which is natural in fishing,
100%.
like from not tournament fishing. Like you find a lure, you find a spot. I mean, you don't have to travel very far in the internet to find a picture of somebody holding a fish and the entire background behind them is fuzzed out. But I mean, that's also the world we're living in. But why do baits work better when you're the only one that has them? Why does it feel like that?
I think part of it's like a confidence thing, right? You feel like you have a competitive advantage because you have a bait, or like you said, even a spot where it's like, nobody's been here. Nobody's doing this. A lot of times you end up finding out, they're like, oh, there's more people that know about this than what I thought.
Yeah.
And like, the big thing right now is a jig head minnow. So I got in on that pretty early, and it was funny how like you would keep it quiet. Like even I think inside of the Elite Series, it stayed quiet for a while. And there were guys that knew about it well before I did. But then you would like start having these conversations, and every once in a while I'd be like, oh, I'd be like, have you done this? When you've been doing it just like the same amount of time as the other guy, right? And so there's a lot of those situations where like you think that you have something, where then you come to find out, you're like, oh, that guy knows about it, that guy knows about it, and then it starts to come out, right? And then it gets leaked out there, and you start to see it become more of a thing. And so I think that's what happens in most scenarios. I think, like Lee Livesey this year at Ray Roberts for the Classic. Yeah. He specifically had them make a color, right? Pre-existing bait. I need this color for this tournament. He knew it was going to get out there, but he's like, just don't give it to any of the other competitors. Just give me 3 days. And, and then it comes out. So there's situations like that where whether or not it got him more bites and gave him a shot to win, nobody really knows.
Yeah.
But in his mind, it gave him a competitive advantage that when he made that cast with that color, he felt like he had something different. So if he was fishing behind somebody, he's like, I'm going to get a bite that the fish weren't going to bite their lure.
Yeah.
And so that sometimes it can just be that, right? Whether or not it actually makes a difference. I think in the angler's mind, a lot of times it makes a difference.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it's just like spots. I mean, I remember covering events where some of those events where you guys are running points and stuff like that. And I'd sit on a point and we would have 25, 30 boats in the field that would fish the same point. And you would have guys come ripping around the corner and they would see you set up there and they'd be like, But if they came 30 seconds later, right after you left, they come around the corner and they fish that point totally different because they're like, nobody's been here. But meanwhile, the thing's been empty for cumulatively 1 minute after the last 8 hours.
Yeah, the prop wash just settled, so you couldn't tell that someone just left. Like that happens all the time. All the time.
So if you had to give advice to a young pro just getting started, what is it? Or is it
be true to yourself? Think of the long game. If you plan on being around for a long time, think about how those decisions affect your career 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. And have those hard conversations and be willing to, I guess, stand up for what you think is right and where you're willing to give and take. Because any sponsorship's like a relationship, right? There's always give and take. And so there's ways to work around that, right? But to the young guys that just don't know or feel that pressure, a lot of times you just have to have that conversation. That could be a false pressure that you're putting on yourself that's not actually there. And having that conversation, at least then what the expectations are, and then you can move forward from there. And I think that's the best thing. And having the realization that if you are on Bassmaster Live, people are watching, right? There's lots and lots of people watching, and they know how to pause and screenshot and zoom in, and like people are going to see it. So you can only hide it for so long. So, I mean, that's my thing is like the most dangerous angler is the guy that feels like he has nothing to hide and that he is just going to beat you whether or not you have the same bait or not.
Wow. It's a very cool way of looking at it. Thanks, dude.
Hat, Dave. This is my fishing hat.
I like that hat.
I made me an old foam truck. I'm going to sell it. It's some old foam truckers. I just had an idea to build me a fishing hat. So when I go fishing, I put my fishing hat on.
You got a fishing hat. That's
yes. I mean,
makes sense. I mean, where's my fishing hat?
I mean, cowboys have hats.
Yeah, that's your fishing hat.
Yeah.
You're quickly becoming a show regular here on Officially Unofficial. G,
I don't know.
I like it.
Does that mean you're on an extreme low budget?
No. That means at this show, we shoot for the stars and you're a freaking star.
Oh, God, I like the way you say that. My Lake Fork performance wasn't a star performance. It was a shooting star right to the commode. But yes, it's always good to be on. Good to be on. And we always have some great discussions on interesting topics.
Well, this is an interesting one. And me and you started talking about, we were doing live together, and it is the trend of hiding baits. And I think there's always been, I mean, in fishing in general, regardless of tournaments, there's always been a little bit of, I don't want to show you what I'm catching them on, but it seems to be happening more.
Yes. We're seeing it more. You and I brought it up that day that, I've actually caught myself at the end of the tournament last day or something watching live to try to see what they're catching them on. And I can watch it for quite some time and I still don't know. I know they're throwing forward, but like we truly don't know the make of the bait, what it is. So like to me, that's a tough one because there's two sides to that piece of bread. Are they protecting their secrets? They got a secret they don't want nobody to know. But then you got sponsors paying you that you're trying to justify why you need more money or why they're paying you. But if you do great in a tournament and you don't sell anything for them, did you miss your opportunity?
And not just for the sponsor, I think you also, in a lot of ways, look at Pat Schlopper's win, where he talked about a buzzbait that isn't even a company he works with, but how much street credit that got him. It really stood out to me this last tournament, how much. So you also miss an opportunity to kind of sell yourself to the fans, I would assume.
Well, and I think that's the fine line. I think if you're Ed Chambers told me this years ago, rest his soul now, the original owner of Zoom, the builder of Zoom. He told me something. I was fishing the FLW championship, finishing me and John Savington was going head to head. He beat me by a couple ounces for $250,000. I ended up second, and I told Ed, he was there, and I said, Ed, I didn't catch him. I caught him on a Cinco pitching it, and he said, you don't have to promote other people's, but he said, if you lie today, you'll never be what you could be to me value-wise. And that come from a man who owned a company. He would just say, be respectful, but don't lie, because when you tell people something, they need to know that you caught them on a Zoom super fluke, not something. So I think what Pat did is pretty admirable. I don't think you have to say whose brand it is. You can just say, hey, this is not one of my sponsors' baits. It's the only thing I could get them to bite. And I'm fishing with it. And that's it. At least the fans know. But nobody does more live than you, right? Nobody.
Probably somebody, but
right. Well, not many that I know of. So,
Tommy,
can you tell me the bait name make that's won the last 3 tournaments? This is like the second
one of them. I can tell you for sure. Yeah. There's been secrets kept.
All right. So what would you? And you was around during when Van Dam went on some of his runs and other anglers. Van Dam would just hold the red eye shad up and say, "This is a red eye shad, and I'm fixing to whip your ass with it. You're going to like it," which made him the mecca powerhouse of selling. So not saying that anybody's right or wrong. It's just the difference in how it's done, but I think, man, when you win an elite, it's so hard to get in that position and are we, as some anglers, missing a huge opportunity to be the powerhouse for that company that you're working with if you're fishing with their baits?
Yeah.
I know everybody's got their secrets. They think they do, but I don't know how to get. I don't really know the right answer. But I know the right answer for me. Is I'm going to try to promote my sponsors. I try to refit. If I'm at an event and they're biting hard baits, I'm going to go through every Rapala bait I got in that vicinity to see if I can catch them on it before I make the next leap to fish a competitor's bait. So you try to be company, but it doesn't mean I'm doing it right. It just means I'm loyal to that part of Rapala and say, listen, I'm going to try to catch them on their baits. But I think it needs to be memorable when you win. I know Pat Slapper caught some on a buzz bait, but I could see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do you think that most of the secrets are because of sponsors, or do you think most of the secrets we're seeing are because guys are trying to keep something to themselves for a little while?
I probably think there's some of that. Some of them think that nobody else knows about it, and sometimes they do. I understand trying to have some secrets, but do you sell that to a sponsor when you and I go in and say, "Hey, we'd like to be we won't be sponsored by Rapala, Dan, but no, we got secrets, okay? So now when we win, we not saying nothing." That's the hard line about what you're looking for in a sponsorship or what you're looking for. I know the viewers want to know. I understand some secrets. And I can understand not saying it on day 1, 2, or 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get to day 4. But what they don't realize is you totally discredit the top 10 anglers pictures that Craig Lamb and them take when they hold up everybody with their baits. If you've never showed me on camera, you think I believe that? That's horse crap. That ain't the bait. You ain't showed it to me all week. Why don't you just hold up a sign that says I'm not showing you my bait? I think that's what. No, we're talking from a marketing standpoint, not what I do right or wrong. Because good God, I do a million things wrong. I'm just saying, you see how someone wouldn't believe that photo.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've even had photos now where we've got people holding empty jig heads. We've had a photo where somebody just showed a drop shot hook and weight. We've had, photos where people have got their hands in front of the bait. It just really feels like, weirdly, I remember years ago when live first started, the first guy to kind of hide his baits was Edwin Evers. And he was, and he would not show it. And then that kind of went away. And then we had Chris Zaldane telling you what's on his sandwich and giving you every bit of detail that he has. But now it seems to have shifted back to
it's
the
all about
stuff.
secrets. Like this is a handmade Amish Japanese minnow, and I'm not telling anybody what it is, So I don't know, but it is a ongoing trend about hiding your baits. Dude, we got some secretive dudes, and I get it. And I understand they think they got an advantage, but I fished through the era against Denny Breyer, Van Dam, and some of the greatest that's ever been on the water. And guess what? They'd say, "Here it is, come and get it. I'm going to whip you with a spinnerbait. Here it is." Now, it's just a different day and time. I don't know. What do you think would be a great mix of it? Do you think the fans truly want to know what it is?
I think so. I think that's why I think that's why you watch tournaments in general. A big part of it is to learn. You look at all of the things that have come and actually were out and didn't make a mark, but then did because they got in the right tournament anglers' hands and people not only saw the bait but how to work it and how to all of the trends. I mean, start at tournaments for the most part. So I think the more we can give a viewer, the better it is.
We're in a weird position as professional, whatever athlete or whatever you are at that level, because a baseball player, he fields a ground ball at shortstop, he throws it to first, his play's over. Yeah. He's not walking the commentator through, "Hey, catch it on the second hop, don't short hop it." In our sport, it's a little different because we can teach, educate as we work the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's why some viewers click in. They want to hear why Jason Christie picked that spinnerbait or why Kyle Welcher swimming that jig. So I think we always have to, and hey, dude, I'm guilty of it. At Palaca this year, I'm in the top 10 and I'm dead focused because I'm having a scope and I catch myself staring and I'm like, okay, this is not going to be very entertaining, not even for my mom, and she loves me. So try to be conscious that some people are watching to learn and to be entertained. And that's a tough one, man, because not many other sports are laid out like that.
Yeah. No, I've always said what you guys have to do is ridiculous compared to other. I mean, I remember listening to a controversy where people are like, they shouldn't even talk to the manager in baseball in between innings, like when they, and I'm like, well, in bass fishing, not only do we talk to you, you're expected to talk, you're expected to talk right after you lose a giant fish, after you know what I mean?
And it's because our sport, we are not NASCAR in a sense, or MMA where somebody's fixing to get their jaw broke or knocked out or wrecked. And so to our entertainment level and value is in the teaching. And when we step away from that, we kind of lose that whatever it is that makes people tune in, is what I've always thought. because if you just watch somebody stare at whatever it is they're staring at, I don't care, and just never speak, it's a great way to take a nap. It's kind of like golf. I put golf on, dude. I'm out. Like, it's a melatonin. I'm done. Sign me up, baby. So I think as young anglers and even older anglers, we just have to be conscious of it. That if we're on Fox and we're trying to grow viewership or we're trying to increase viewership, there is a certain amount of responsibility that comes along with that Bass Shield and making it to the elites. As you're now a nationwide fishing instructor and entertainer as much as you are a professional.
Yeah, and it's a arrow in your quiver if you're good at it. You're a prime example, dude. Your mouth has, I mean, we're both prime examples of people that can talk and figure out a way to.
You about kicked me right up front of the bus, and you thought, well, I got a mouth too. So.
He's not the only loudmouth I know.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like that has always helped you throughout your career.
It's being able to explain what you're doing, talk about what you're doing, work on a relationship with a sponsor where when you have good events, the needle moves for them and they see product go off the shelf is your value. Because if you're lucky, an angler might win one tournament every 2 or 3 years. If you're lucky, unless you just have an extra. So the value of the money you're losing by not selling and promoting baits and getting paid more from sponsors is astronomical compared to what you stand to win. Now, everybody wants to win. I get it. So that's the line. How do you want to balance it? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, if you could just fish and not talk about your baits and make a living, Van Dam probably would have done that.
Yeah. But he made a whole barrel load of money dangling that red-eye shad and saying, come get it, boy. So, like, I learned that from him. Like, early on in my career, I seen him do it. Denny Breyer, Larry Nixon, and man, they just beat you with a jig and get on stage and say, this is it, and you're like, well, daggum, I need to go buy 20 of them,
Yeah.
But right now, when I watch an elite, I don't really know want to know what I got beat by. And even if it's not a sponsor thing, I'd like to get a couple of them, but I don't know what to get.
Yeah. So what you're saying is Gerald Swindle's got nothing to hide.
I mean, the last 2 tournaments at the elites, I surely didn't have nothing to hide. Nobody wants to know how you catch nothing. Like
it's not.
But I think we all have secrets and we guard them. And when the time comes around that you feel like you can make the most of that, you can expose it. But I don't know that everything we do is a secret. Some guys have so many secrets or secrets to themselves, and they think they know something that nobody else knows. And it's just as old school as my grandmother's slippers. I remember when a certain angler come out and was catching them on a hair jig, he thought, and I'm like, that hair jig come from Eufaula, from a preacher. That's why it's called a preacher jig. It was out with big hair bands and Run DMC, my Adidas. That's how old it was. But to him, he had discovered it and he had a secret. And I'm like, no, it's not a secret to you. So I think we do better, maybe. When do you ever get frustrated doing live because you feel like you could help the angler sell it? So this is a dead serious question because you and I, we cut up with a lot of crap, but I'll give you this. If you're a young angler out there and you get on that Elite Series stage, if you will try, the man with the mics that I'm talking to right there will help you more than you'll ever know. He will set you up to do great things by just paying attention to what he says and following his lead. And I feel like with some of these anglers, if you knew what they were really throwing, you could help them sell a whole bunch of them or help them right along if you had more information. Do you feel that way?
Always. The more information you have to work with, the easier it is. And the more that person's comfortable talking about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, and not even necessarily throwing your bait, but like, hey, this is a 6'10" spinning rod with a 10-pound backing braid and an 8-pound leader. You don't hear any of that tied with a double uni Shendo I like a shorter leader because this depth. None of that to me I see. And I'm like, Dave could run miles with that in between the laws when people are not catching them. That's info that you guys put in your head and go, okay, so now we can go back over some of his equipment and why he's doing it like this.
Yeah. Prime example, just recently, Curia, we found out he was throwing 50-pound braid with a 27-pound fluorocarbon leader. But we found that out and reported that, and people were like, wow, that's interesting.
It's interesting.
To all. Like,
it's
everybody thinks it's finesse. And Curia has, a language barrier, which I think he uses to his advantage at times, which, hey, all the power to him. But ultimately, I look at it as the more info we have, the more opportunity we have to work with you guys. And I think ultimately we owe it to the fans,
Yes. And even as anglers, when the guys call you the day before you make the top 10 or something, or you're going into a tournament on your home water, if Dave calls you or Davey or someone calls you from the staff and says, hey man, Bowman, give us a heads up on kind of what's going on in the lake. You don't have to tell them exactly what you're doing the next day, but you can give them the breakdown of the water level, kind of what's going on, what to be expected, because all they're looking for is not to be knowledgeable of the show and not look like an ass and be saying something that they are gathered up from somewhere else. Like, no one knows what's going on better than the elite guys because we've been out there for 3 days. So if the guy calls you and said, what's going on? You say, hey, dude, we've been a big south wind. Tide's been blowing in. It's getting higher and higher. The river's not dropping. So what we're going to see is high tide, slower bites. That's all Dave needs. That little bit of information, when he opens up live, goes a long way because he can set the viewer up at home. And like so many guys are just like, I'm not answering my phone. I'm not telling them nothing. But you're not wanting to see dirty pictures of your wife. He just wants to know what's the basic watercolor, things that they can be informative on the show is what I think. And I could be wrong. I say this a lot on here. I'm probably wrong a lot more than I'm right, but hey, that's just what I say.
If you're wrong, I don't want to be right.
Oh, God, if loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. How many people ever pick up in the mornings when I blast off that I like to scream, you're my Spanish love squirrel?
There's people, and they give me like a weird little look, and I'm like, what? The road's a lonely place.
It's a lonely place. So what do you think? We got 10 Killer coming up. What do you think? We have a good one?
Yeah, I think it'll be a good one. I think it's going to be hot.
It's going to be hot and high.
Yeah, but it'll be good. Christy's going to be a menace to deal with there.
Is he ever not?
Well, that's true. Good point.
He seen me at the last tournament we just finished up there at Douglas, and he goes, you've been in before me every day in the weigh-in line. And I said, I like it. He goes, I don't. I don't like you being ahead of me. Don't like nobody.
Even in the weigh-in line.
In the weigh-in line, he didn't like it. He goes, I don't like it. And I'm like,
the one
I think he'll be tough, man. I do. I think Christy will be tough, and I think this might be a good one for the fans to watch. Water level plays. Not many things equal out scope, but rising crazy water kind of makes things. It throws lots of curves in there, and it could be a fun one.
Good. I like the sounds of that. The one and only Gerald Swindle. Thank you, dude.
You got it, man. I got more honeydews to do. I pressure washed a garage yesterday. I'm working on a new exercise. I'll send you some pictures. It's called reverse scope. And I pressure washed overhead for an hour. And Lee, I said, what are you doing? I said, it's a reverse scope move to try to get it. Yeah.
It decompresses. I got you.
Decompresses. So it's a new exercise I'm working on. And, so she's got me doing honeydews this week.
All right. Enjoy that reverse scope it.
Sounds like some type of, maybe a old Latin love move. This just went down.
I'm about to go reverse scope right now.
See you, Dave. Thanks for having me on, brother.
Hey gang, Officially Unofficial is presented by Shady Rays. You can hit the water with confidence in Shady Rays sunglasses, built to cut glare and deliver pro-level clarity. Their polarized lenses sharpen your vision so you can spot every ripple and movement, even in harsh light. Not only are they lightweight and ultra comfortable, they stay put no matter how rough the conditions. And guess what? They even have lost and broken protection, so you're covered from day one. Not satisfied? Return or exchange for free within 30 days, no risk. If you're ready to see the water like never before, go to ShadyRays.com and use code BASS35 for 35% off.
Proving that pro anglers don't always fish. Kyle Patrick, we find you deeply seated in a golf cart right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty gassed up to go swing the old club around. I suck, but it's still fun.
Yeah, it seems to be more fun if you suck,
right?
Because when you start to take it serious, it goes bad.
Look, you can't take golf serious if you're not good at it. The mystery of where the ball is going to go is my favorite part of it. The hole's there, but I don't know how I'm going to get there. There's all kinds of different paths to get to the hole.
Yeah. Story of life. That is a story of life.
It's sort of like fishing.
I want to talk to you about Yeah. I want to talk to you about a big topic that seems to be a trend, or not a topic, but a trend. Hiding baits, whether it be on live, whether it be on top 10 baits, whatever. Pros just hiding baits. And I get that that's part of fishing. Like, you always want to keep secrets. But where are you on that?
So, I think it's a matter of, where do you draw the line, right? Because for me, and we talked about this before, and I'm sorry to all my friends that hide baits a lot on camera. I'm not a fan of it, and I'll tell you why. The way that anglers make money and the way the industry goes around and the way the fans want the way that Bassmaster is set up is we're teaching. That's what I mean. In all reality, if the fans aren't getting something out of watching us, then what's the point of them watching? Because most of the time, let's face it, fishing's not that exciting to watch. You watch football, you watch golf, you watch any other sport, and there's always something. There's always action happening. There's always a ball being thrown, someone getting hit, a good putt going in the hole. We don't have that continued action necessarily. So for me, it's about learning. And that's why I don't hide baits or try to hide what I'm doing on camera. I feel like I really don't. I don't think you can point to a time where I ever hid my bait on camera, because I'm trying to teach or give insight on what I'm doing, because most of the time it's not sneaky because I'm not that good at fishing. So I'm not.
Come on.
No. I'll take that back. I'm not that sneaky. What I do, I keep it so basic that, and I think that's a good thing and a bad thing at times, but I want to show people hey, you can throw a wacky worm Senko around and top 10. You just need to find the right fish to do it. And I like to show okay, hey, there's a stump over here. I'm going to throw my Senko over there because there's a fish on it, because it's spawning on it, right? Simple things I think that people don't know. And I think that with hiding baits, there's two problems. One, you're not selling baits to your sponsors, right? I threw X Zone stick worm. I call it a Senko, but it's a stick bait at the Pasco Tank and Top 10 and showed everyone that, right? And that's not new, but at least it gives them insight. Okay, I can do this on this body of water and catch, a really good limit every day. So learning, and then when you're hiding baits, I feel like you're not, a lot of the times there's not a lot of explanation or talking going on camera. And as we talked about, that's a problem. That's a problem. We can't be hiding baits and sneak and just kind of almost like you don't want the camera in your boat. That's sort of what it feels like. I mean, isn't it great? I'm always so excited when I have a camera in my boat. I'm okay, I'm going to show these people what I'm doing. I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to, be myself on camera, which is crazy. And that's exciting for me. So I feel like hiding baits and hiding a technique, and it just doesn't make it fun. It doesn't add that excitement value that the fans are looking for. Do you agree with that? I mean,
yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I feel like if the previous generation had hit all their baits, you guys wouldn't be as inspired to be into the sport. You know what I mean? That's what, like, you look at the excitement that's around. I mean, buzz baits have not had as much excitement as they've had in the last few weeks since Pat Schlopper caught 2.5 pound bass on him. Just that opportunity. I mean, it inspires people to get out and get fishing, and ultimately that's what you want. Why do you think it seems to be a bigger situation with your generation of anglers?
I don't know. I mean, but to your point, really quickly, I became in love with the jig because of Greg Hackney. Like, and he never hit his jig on live ever. He was like, "This is the Strike King flip, hack attack flipping jig, and I am cracking them on it on Cayuga." But that's another. I love that tournament, but I think a lot of it comes down to, and I hate to say it because we talked about it. I think it's a fear of having other people be able to do what they do. I think that's what it comes down to. Now, is that because of forward-facing sonar? Maybe. But I think a lot of it is the learning curve now with all the media we have and, the YouTube and it gives anglers that aren't professionals yet or aren't on the Elite Series such a good opportunity to make it. It's never been easier to be an excellent bass fisherman. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's never been easier. Like the pathway that Bassmaster's created, that social media has created, that YouTube's created, so there that I think people have this fear of like, okay, he's going to know what bait I'm throwing and he can come out to Lake Hartwell. And I'm just using Lake Hartwell because it was a good example. I mean, it could be Okeechobee, whatever. I mean, people hide their baits on any lake. But I think it's like if he knows what bait I'm throwing, and he obviously knows where I am because Bassmaster puts that, location there, he can come here and destroy the fish. And I won't be able to do it again necessarily. So I think that's a lot of it. And then, I just think anglers have always been kind of sneaky, secretive people. Like, I mean, even down to the local club level. So that's where I don't blame them. Like, we've kind of learned. I mean, when I was 12 fishing out of a canoe in bass tournaments, I would go over to guys' boats and they would kind of be like, "What are you doing peeking on my deck?" You know what I mean? Like, so it's not new. This isn't new. It's just more prevalent now, I think, than ever before. A lot of that, I think, has to do with forward-facing sonar and just the access to learning that we've seen,
Yeah. I think it's also, there's a lot of young anglers in the sport, more young anglers in the sport today than there ever has been. And there's also the confidence. It takes a little while before you're confident. I mean, it's easy to point your finger and be like, KVD used to hold up his red-eye shad and be like this. But I don't know that KVD started like that. There is a bit of a process. You need to build that confidence.
I agree with that for sure. I think if you're new and you're catching them, you kind of are like, okay, people haven't caught on to what I'm doing. And, I just learned this. So I want to keep this quiet for, an extended period of time to where people aren't hopping on the train and then, those boys are beating me with what I figured out. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, if you figure out something really like sneaky, like a new bait, a new technique, there is a sense of like, this is mine almost, even though it's not. Right? Like, if this is my, like, I want to kind of like preserve this for myself for like, an extended period of time so that I can make a living. I mean, honestly, I mean, a lot of it is, I think, with the amount of money we're competing for and all that, I think there's definitely some of that mindset of like, I want to preserve this technique.
All right. Well, and great thoughts.
Dave,
okay, I want to.
Hold on. I think.
Go ahead.
80% of it has to do with how much media attention is being we have now with YouTube, with all the just everything out there. I think that is a lot of it. Because look, KVD could say he could be throwing a red eye shad. It's not going to get the attention then. It will with everyone that was obsessed with bass fishing. But now, I mean, it's going to go nuts, right? Like if Easton Fothergill was a great example. If he was like, this is what I'm throwing, and someone got a sneak peek, Bass U is going to ask about it. Bassmaster is going to ask about it. It's just going to get blown up on social media and on live. So I think the technology like revolution in our sport in general, not just Sport Basics Sonar, but YouTube and all that is the majority of the reason people want to hide them.
Yeah, and Bass Live. I mean, before they couldn't see exactly how you're using the bait. Now you see exactly how somebody's shaking it, what they're doing, how they're presenting it. Yeah, it's good on one end, but I totally understand it on the other end. You know what I want to see? I mean, this could totally destroy this whole segment.
I want to see Kiyoya's.
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that too. But I want to see you. Are you in a situation where you can tee up a ball right now and blast it for me?
Absolutely. Brandon, get in the car. I'm going to blast a drive for Dave.
Let's see the power of an Elite Series Pro. And this is how we're going to end the segment, but let's end it as a hero.
You can drive. Dave, I am going to destroy this golf ball. And it is going down the pipe into the fairway. And I'm going to birdie this first hole.
I would expect nothing less. And
it feels so good.
Driver he has there.
It feels so good to just derive a ball. You know what I mean? It's like, everything goes away and you just hammer that thing home. And it is like, oh God, it's such a great feeling for people that haven't experienced it.
Yeah. I just try to make the right sound.
Are you like are you like the tennis players that grunt? Like when they hit the ball, No,
I mean like the contact sound. I mean, when you hit a golf ball right from the sound of it.
Oh, yeah. That you don't get. It's sort of like, I'm taking my glove. I'm sorry. It's sort of like a hook set. You know that when you get a really good hook set on braid and it's like, it's the same sort of, same sort of deal.
Yeah. Are we going to drive this? Oh, here we go.
These boys are walking. I'm going to get a better camera angle here in a second. I got to wait like a minute before I let it rip. But
people love waiting.
Yeah. The deal with
we can through the magic of the internet, we can get to that drive.
This may be a powerful podcast, but watch this powerful drive, okay?
All right, let's do this.
All right, can you see the ball?
It's finally going to happen. Yep, we can see it. It's a beautiful day.
Okay. Oh, you can't even go.
I'm not going to say a word.
No, I'm not. It's the kids. Good job. There. All right, need a little stretch, Dave.
Kids are very nimble. Yeah, got to stretch.
Oh, yeah.
Do we feel good about the kids' placement?
Yes. Oh my God, that's gorgeous. Dave, I really don't know if I could hit better than that. I'm serious. That is down the pipe. Down the pipe.
Looks wonderful. It looks really nice. It looks really nice.
Sound? Did that give you that sound that you wanted?
Oh, I'm going golfing right now. I mean, it gave me. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Took us a while to get there.
Yeah,
as always.
Well, hey, we had a little segment in between. We had a good little segment in between.
Good times. Yeah, it was wonderful. Okay, go golfing. Thanks, dude.
Good chat with you. See ya.
Dakota Ebare, one of the big trends that we're seeing is guys hiding baits, whether it be on live or whether it be on top 10 baits, that sort of thing. Where are you at with that? Is that a necessary evil as a pro, or what's your thoughts on it?
You know, I get it, man, to a certain extent, especially like, you know, some of the Japanese anglers and stuff. I mean, they have baits that are so, you know, there's no telling what Koya's throwing. Like, nobody ever knows, you know. And I know that's a huge advantage to him. I've seen Easton do it. He's kind of let me in on some of his secrets and stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, it's hard to hide anything anymore, you know. I mean, and it shouldn't be in a way, like with live and everything, you know. I mean, it's just, man, there's no secrets, you know, hardly. And I'm not going to say it shouldn't be, but I understand what they're doing. But from a perspective, I mean, I work with Strike King. There's a big Strike King logo behind me. You know, whenever we have a new innovative bait come out, it's exciting, and it's my job to share that with people, you know. And now with so many eyes on us, you know, I mean, it's a great opportunity to educate and show, you know, people, get people excited about new techniques and stuff, you know. Today I've been fishing with Brooks. We got run off the lake here. I'm gonna introduce y'all to Brooks here. There's my man Brooks. How old are you, Brooks?
What's up?
How old are you?
6.
6. He's 6 years old, man. We've been out on Sam Rayburn today trying to catch some bass. Found a big school of them right there before the rain ran us off the lake. But to my point, we've got guys like Brooks that are watching. This kid watches everything that he can possibly watch when it comes to fishing, and he's so knowledgeable about bass fishing. Even at 6 years old, he's blown me away today, like his knowledge and passion for the sport. So I feel like it's our job as anglers to, you know, educate these guys that are watching, these kids that are watching, because this guy's dreaming of fishing on the Bassmaster Elite Series one day. So, Brooks, it's your shot. What's your favorite bait?
Wacky worm.
A wacky worm? Yep. And what else?
Chatterbait.
Okay.
And rattle trap.
That's awesome. He's already got it figured out, man. But wouldn't you like to learn some new baits for some pros? Like some new baits that have just come out. Don't you want to see those on live and watch?
Yep.
Yep. Maybe need to add them on the fishing video game too?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Do you play a fishing video game a lot, Brooks?
Yep.
Which game is it?
Bassmaster 2022.
Oh, this totally sounds like it's a plug. You're ready to be a pro angler already. Brooks, do you watch Bass Live?
Yeah.
What do you watch it for?
Huh?
Why do you watch Bass Live? Like, what would make you want to watch Bass Live?
To learn more about fishing.
Uh-oh. Boy, you just hit the nail on the head there, buddy. That was a great answer, and I didn't tell him to say that either, I promise. And that's my point, man. You know, and it's awesome that we have that opportunity to get the youth involved, get them excited about fishing, and at the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Even new techniques. Even if it may cost me from catching a fish or two and having an edge over my competitors, at the end of the day, if I can educate and entertain, even if it's with new innovative products, I mean, that's my job as an angler.
Hey, Brooks, will you be honest with me? Has he shown you any tricky little stuff he told you not to tell anyone about?
Yeah.
Will you tell me about it, or?
You going to tell me about our spot we found?
No. It's a secret.
We graphed up a big school of fish right before lightning started popping, and there was a bunch of guys at the boat ramp.
There was tons of white bass and stuff.
Yeah, it was white. There was all kind of fish there.
Crappie, bass, everything.
Everything. Some guys at the boat ramp were trying to get the spot from us, and he was like, "Nope."
You're wise, Brooks. You're wise. Is it your dream to be a tournament angler one day?
Yep.
What did you tell your dad about playing t-ball the other day?
Nope.
Why? Why?
Because fishing's way better.
I totally agree. Do a lot of your buddies fish?
Some.
Your little brother, huh?
Yeah.
How old is he?
3.
And what's the biggest bass he's caught?
5-pounder.
5-pounder. 3 years old.
When I started, my biggest was a 6.
Really?
When I was 3.
Gosh, what's your biggest? Is it still a 6, or have you caught a bigger one?
Now it's almost a 9. It's an 8.5.
Tell him that story. Where were you at?
I was at the dam at Toledo Bend.
Well, you probably shouldn't say exactly where he was at. That's the secret spot. But he was fishing at Toledo Bend. What'd you catch it on?
I think I caught it on like a chatterbait.
Yeah. And what were you doing whenever that fish bit?
I was reeling it in.
Oh, yeah?
And then I missed him. Then I threw it back, and then I got him.
You got him?
I was throwing right beside the dam.
Yeah? What about that big one the other day you caught eating some chips?
Well, I was chilling, and something jerked my rod, and I'm like, I got a big one.
Sometimes you just got it. You don't even need a secret bait. You just sit in the boat, eat some chips, and have a good time and catch big bass.
I've learned a lot here in this little segment. I didn't realize 6-year-olds chilled, but now I know. You do seem pretty chill, Brooks. I look forward to seeing you on the Bassmaster stage one day.
Yeah. My brother's gonna watch me.
Yeah? Your brother's gonna watch you?
I'm gonna dominate him when he tries to do me in fishing battles.
Texas high school fishing ain't ready for these two.
Well, I mean, I could ask you a lot of questions, but Brooks has answered them all. Obviously, showing baits pays off pretty good.
So you're fishing some tournaments right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So didn't you? Tell us about your tournament at Sam Rayburn the other day.
It was really good. Like at noon, we started catching tons and tons of bass.
At noon, and what'd you end up with?
I ended up with maybe 18 pounds.
18 pounds. That's a pretty good stringer, buddy. Did you win?
Yep.
Yeah. It's already smoking them.
I won biggest bass. I won angler of the year.
Yeah.
And I also won the whole thing.
Dude, he's on them.
Brooks.
Those
You know who this reminds me of? And his dad brought it up to me earlier today. This is Trey McKinney 10 years ago.
Those 18-year-olds.
12 years ago. You know?
Those 18-year-olds, they're too easy to beat.
Oh, boy. Wow. He's trash talking. I love it.
He's trash talking 18-year-olds.
Well, you not only dominate on the water, but you've dominated this interview, Brooks. Thank you very much.
We appreciate it, Mercer. Thanks for having us, man.
Go out there and catch a few more.
We're fixing to. See you, man.
See ya.
Yeah.
So you've heard from our 4 pros and, well, one potential future pro. Now I want to hear from you guys. Is keeping baits a secret a good thing in pro fishing? Is it a necessary thing? What would you do if you were in their shoes? What would you like to see? Let us know in the comments. And, well, it's no secret that that's it for this episode of Officially Unofficial. Until next time, enjoy being. I'd love to tell you about our next episode, but it's a secret. Shh.